Okay, this from our friend here, Havok, friend of the channel, up and comer. He's got 15,000 subscribers. Let's hear almost 16,000 subscribers thanks to DG360. Way to go, Havok. Last time we saw he was around 12,000. Already, this guy's shooting up. I love him. Cool dude. Let's see what Havok is up to. And big shout out to the DG360 community for lifting his numbers up. Thank you for doing that. You are beautiful.
What if I told you that Star Citizen's biggest update yet wasn't just about flashing new features, but a massive gamble on the future of the game? With Alpha 4.0 finally here, let's break down what's working, what isn't, and what's coming next. Star Citizen Alpha 4.0 has finally landed, and it's packed with incredible updates, stunning new locations, and exciting gameplay. Today we'll explore the highs and lows of 4.0, discuss the roadmap ahead, and dive into what could make or break Star Citizen's future. Alpha 4.0 may feel like a turning point, but to fully appreciate it, we need to acknowledge the hurdles and missed opportunities of 2024. This year was meant to deliver on promises that had been building excitement since CitizenCon 2023, but the reality didn't quite live up to expectations. Take Master Modes, for example. Introduced in 3.23, this was...
Oh boy, we're going to get into Master Modes. Woo, I had a breakdown on Master Modes last week. I'm not even going to get into this discussion right now. Don't even get me started on this. I'll probably talk for the next half hour.
Supposed to redefine flight and combat in Star Citizen, adding depth and strategy to engagements. On paper, it was a revolutionary idea, segmenting standard control mode for precise ship control and nav mode for quantum travel and strategic maneuvering. But after the initial implementation, we've seen little to no refinement. Ships like the F-7A Mark II still dominate combat, and multi-crew ships feel underwhelming without more balanced turret systems or better integration of crew roles. Combat often boils down to who has the most maneuverable ship with the most firepower, rather than rewarding strategic decision-making. Even interceptors, which are already incredibly powerful, remain unmatched. A simple tweak such as making turrets more effective at long ranges or improving the performance of multi-crew ships in defensive roles could have gone a long way. What's even more frustrating is that the quantum travel overhaul, a feature that could have transformed how we traverse the verse, remains absent. Quantum Boost, which was supposed to allow players to quickly cover shorter distances without entering full quantum travel, would have made exploration and mission running far more intuitive. The system we have now feels clunky and incomplete, and it's disappointing to see features like this left on the cutting room floor.
He's on point.
It wasn't just about flight mechanics that fell short.
On point.
Engineering gameplay, one of the most highly anticipated features, or the least anticipated features of 2024, didn't make the cut either. This system would have added meaningful multi-crew interaction by allowing players to manage ship power, repair damage, and fine-tune their ships during combat. It had the potential to turn multi-crew ships into true team-based experiences rather than the somewhat underwhelming gameplay they offer today. Similarly, the Maelstrom armory mechanics, which would have introduced new strategies for ship defense.
Dude, Havok's hitting on point here, man. We got bullseyes on him. Almost every comment he's made right now.
Defense and survivability never saw the light of day. Star Citizen's combat system has needed more depth for years, and Maelstrom could have been the first step in addressing this. Without it, combat feels overly simplistic, lacking the layered decision-making that we were promised.
Absolutely.
Visual fidelity
Figure saying all this engineering is a load on the hybrid. Yes.
Is one of Star Citizen's hallmarks. And the lack of global illumination in 2024 was a noticeable absence as well. Pyro's dramatic landscapes and celestial backdrops are already stunning, but global illumination could have elevated them to an entirely new level, making lighting more realistic and immersive. Even the smaller, less flashy features like FPS radar and scanning tools, which would have enhanced exploration on foot, were left out. These mechanics could have made missions in caves, derelicts, and settlements more engaging, rewarding.
There will be an evolution to all of this, though. You know, with these things that Havok's talking about, there'll be an evolution to the flight mechanics, there'll be an evolution to the FPS radars, there'll be evolutions to the star maps. All of these are going to get worked, just so people understand that. These are not all final, just so you know. We're in an alpha. For people who are not aware of Star Citizen, one of the longest alphas ever, it will always be worked on. And that's actually a good thing. Here in the DG360 community, we understand game development and we understand what it is that the Cloud Imperium is trying to do. It's going to take some time to do this. There really is no second best. There is no other developer out there trying to do these things. Let's be real. There's not a title out there that's has the scope, scale, the tech that they're working on. There's none. There's absolutely none. And if you know of a title, please tell me, and I will review it, and I will see if, in fact, it actually entails everything that encompasses what Star Citizen's trying to do, and that'll be great. Because, competition is great, but right now there is no competition. There is no second best. It's only Star Citizen. So for people that ask me, like, why are you so positive on Star Citizen all the time? I'm not always so positive. I'm not always so positive. However, big picture macro, I see that there's nobody else out there doing this. There's nobody else out there in the landscape. There's no developer trying to do something so grand. There's no one. So if you know of somebody, let me know. Let me know.
Players who take the time to carefully search their surroundings. And traversal mechanics such as sliding, mantling, and ladder improvements would have added a new level of fluidity to FPS combat. To CIG's credit, in my opinion, they did deliver about 2/3 of the features promised at CitizenCon 2023. Now, that's no small feat for a project of this scope, especially given the challenges of implementing server meshing alongside.
I like what I'm reading from Betty. Betty says, I just wanted a sci-fi flight sim, then it mutated. And then Betty knows this, though. Everybody voted on the stretch goals. I think it was in 2013. A lot of the citizens were asked questions through the RSI website. They said, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? And citizens said yes, 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 yes. Everything that they asked, everything that the developer asked, all the people, the fans said yes. They got to vote. They got to vote for it. They were called stretch goals. And that's why we call this game the everything game.
These updates. But that missing 1/3, comprising some of the most ambitious and impactful
Star
features,
Citizen history,
leaves a noticeable void. These were the features that could have transformed Star Citizen into the game that we've all been waiting for, and their absence makes 2024 feel like a year of unfinished business. Now, before we dive into the dual approach of 4.0 and what's next for Nigs, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Betty. I post clear and concise Star Citizen information every week, keeping you informed and ahead in the verse. One of the most controversial decisions surrounding 4.0 preview was CIG's choice to maintain two parallel builds, 3.24.3 and 4.0 preview. On the surface, this was a smart move, a safety net to ensure that players could fall back on a stable version of the game if 4.0's launch went sideways. But this does also allow them to say that they did get 4.0 out at the end of the year. Let's be honest, after the chaotic launch of 3.18, where server issues and game-breaking bugs made the game nearly unplayable for weeks or months on end, the caution was very understandable. Server meshing, the cornerstone of 4.0, is one of the most complex systems that CIG has ever implemented. If it had failed catastrophically, keeping 3.24.3 alive would have allowed players to continue enjoying the game without interruption. Thankfully, 4.0 preview has been far more stable than anyone expected. Sure, there are still some bugs and performance hiccups, but compared to the disasters of the past, this rollout has been remarkably smooth. I don't know if any of you remember 3.0, but when that patch came out, the performance was very, very low, and it was barely unplayable for the better half of a year. If that was to happen today, everyone would be taking to Spectrum. The improvements to server performance and crash handling are evident, showing that CIG has learned from their mistakes, or at least some of them. However, now that 4.0 is suddenly having issues with black screens, the continued existence of 3.24.3 feels like it might have been necessary. Now, for many players, including myself, the 3.x cycle was effectively over when 4.0 was stable. That is until things became questionable here and there. But Pyro, with its dynamic environments and exciting new gameplay loops, has become the new frontier. And sticking with 3.24.3 feels like clinging to an outdated version of the game. The lack of progression carryover between the two builds only makes this more apparent. Any progress made in 3.24.3 is effectively a dead end, which discourages players from...
I like these comments because it makes me think, like, I'm reading what Coob has said. Coob said, I'm not a fan of having to steer through the wormhole. Fingers is agreeing and saying, yep. I'll tell you, I will be a fan with this if it affects directly those I mean, we already know the different sizes of ships has some type of an effect. We know if we don't steer these correctly, you pop out at a place that is random. So, that's pretty interesting. But, I would love to see damage. I would love to see, like, let's make this more important. Let's make this gameplay more important. If we really want this in game, say you, like, hit something and you smash up against the side of this and boom, you're dead. You're dead. Then all of a sudden, this is actually really much more important. Especially if you're flying a larger ship with cargo, you're going to have to actually navigate this, and it'll mean something. Then it'll be a lot more important. Then people will go, okay, now maybe I, got to be more careful. Now, I'd also like to see these be more difficult in other systems, going to alien systems, going to systems that are, any system. I want these. They will be different sizes. They will accommodate different ships. And what I want to see is some fucking hell. I want to go into this. I want to see crazy hell. I want to see different varieties of danger. And then it'll be much more exciting. Much more exciting. Then I'm going to be like, whoa. And see, I love chaos like that. But some people might not. What's up? PC69 says, I haven't played since 3.0. Highly looking forward to seeing the progress when I do come back. For now, I just watch DG to get my fix. Hey, there you go. Thank you, PC69. Good to see you back here. Yeah, I want to see wormhole monsters. Yes, Wicked Wookie would like to see wormhole monsters. I definitely want to see wormhole monsters. Although he did misspell it at first and said workhole monsters. That's a completely different thing when you go to your 9 to 5. Your bosses are workhole monsters there, Wookie. Wookie was cracking me up last week. He was talking about this giveaway he's having. He was cracking me up in the DMs last week. It was really funny, man. You had me laughing. I swear to God, man. Had coke coming out my nose, man. I was laughing so hard at some of the things you were saying, dude. It's crazy. Aether says, what? So you just want the wormhole to be a loading screen? I think you should have to steer more through the wormhole. Wait, are you talking to me, Aether? That's exactly what I was saying. I was saying I want to see danger, man. I want to steer around here. What do you mean? I don't want to see a loading screen. Or you talking to somebody in the chat, weren't you? Yeah, I think you should have to steer more through the wormhole. Yes, that's exactly what I want, Aether. And it should be faster and longer. Yes, every jumping should be a player skill like everything else in the game. Yes, I agree with you totally. Totally. Wormhole monsters would be awesome, says Aether. Am I weird for wanting branching wormholes? No, you're not weird. You're not weird, Irritated. I think we'd all love to see that. Roll the dice, where will you end up, and how difficult will it be to get there? I would love that. I would love that. Danger is the fun part. Absolutely, Betty. It makes sense, though. A wormhole should not be passing through three-dimensional space. Why would three-dimensional control surfaces and thrusters affect flight? Coob, are you getting, what, are you an engineer all of a sudden? Where's Coob at? Where's my Coob button? Coob. Man, I want to hear an engineering thesis from Coob. I want to go to his class. Coob, I want to sit down and I want you to teach me quantum-based mechanics. I want Coob. I think we'd all sign up for a Coob class, man. That would be a master class. Coob, I think all of us need to sit down and just listen to you. Professor Coob, man. Get him in here. Get him in here, Coob. Yeah. All right, buddy. I see that. All right. Nice.
Investing time in
Coob,
the
I'm serious,
build.
man.
Instead, most of the community has already moved on to 4.0, leaving 3.24.3 feeling like an afterthought.
With us,
now, if we could only get 4.0 to be running as good as it was in the last patch of the PTU.
Hell yeah,
Looking back, it's hard not to wonder if CIG could have handled this transition differently. If they had fully committed to 4.0 from the start, we might have seen a more cohesive launch, with all players focused on exploring Pyro and testing the new systems.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
While the dual approach made sense as a precaution, it might have been more beneficial for them to hold off for a couple of months so they could iron out the many issues that still existed. With that said, this decision highlights an important shift in CIG's philosophy, a greater focus on stability and player experience. Even if the dual builds feel redundant now, the fact that CIG prioritized a fallback plan shows a commitment to ensuring that the community always has a playable version of the game, even though 3.24.3 was in a very, very poor state. The Star Citizen Alpha 4.0 preview has proven to be far more impactful than many of us had initially expected. While it's easy to focus on what's missing, the update has introduced several groundbreaking features and gameplay opportunities that showcase the game's potential. One of the standout additions in 4.0 is the introduction of asteroid bases. These provide a new take on Stanton's bunker missions, offering quicker, more engaging scenarios designed for smaller groups. Unlike bunkers, which have started to feel repetitive, these bases add variety and an element of danger that makes each encounter unique. For players who prefer bite-sized gameplay loops, asteroid bases deliver exactly that, while still offering meaningful rewards. The layouts are intricate and immersive, combining tight corridors with open spaces, forcing players to adapt their strategies. They're also more accessible, making them perfect for casual groups or solo players looking to test their skills. The addition of contested zones has been another.
This is a great upgrade in a Pyro, unlawful base system. This is exactly what we were screaming with Stanton, that we needed more SPK type gameplay, which now we got. And I hope the evolution will be a capture the flag type base that we'll be able to own and take profits from and then lock from other people, like the player owned stations that we will eventually get in the future, because that will be a test bed to player owned stations out in space, the star bases that we saw in CitizenCon. So I don't think it's too far of a stretch for the theory crafting that we have had since before CitizenCon, before even Pyro, where we talked about we wanted bases where there was a capture the flag dynamic and you could own the station, you could lock people from it. These are all things we talked about over a year or two ago, that now we're seeing the very mechanics we were talking about being talked at with CitizenCon and player-owned stations. I don't think it would be actually much of a hard thing to do to add a capture the flag type station in Pyro with those same mechanics, because it'll be a test bed for future gameplay for player-owned space stations. So we don't have that yet, but we're seeing this progression. We're seeing this progression. This in itself is gameplay. This is player-driven gameplay. It takes workloads off of people trying to create missions and PvE-based missions. MMO play is primarily this, everyone. It really is.
Major highlight. These areas blend PvP and PvE combat, creating high-stakes gameplay that's both challenging and rewarding. For the first time, Star Citizen introduces a real sense of progression, with loot tied to these zones. The hunt for the 9 unique keys to access the executive hangar has been one of the most satisfying gameplay loops I've experienced. Unlocking the hangar and claiming ships with meta loadouts felt like a genuine achievement. It's a significant step toward creating long-term goals for players, something that's been missing from Star Citizen for years. Finally, we need to talk about Pyro's locations.
Oh, Rob, are you
the
making
system's
haggis?
handcrafted environments, from asteroid clusters to derelict settlements, represent a level of detail that surpasses anything that we've had in Stanton. The visual fidelity and atmosphere are unmatched, and the dynamic challenges in these locations make Pyro feel alive. These additions have set a new standard for Star Citizen's environmental design, leaving many players, myself included, hopeful that Stanton will receive similar updates in the future. If there's one
stability. If you are part of the DG360 community, you know I've been pounding the table on this very, very point right here for years upon years. You need stability in your game for it to be a success.
One thing that sets 2025 apart, it's the promise of a renewed focus on stability and performance. After years of crashes, bugs, and unpredictable server issues, CIG is finally making playability a priority, and it's a change that's long overdue. Star Citizen's technical challenges have driven many players away over the years. Persistent issues like server desync, poor frame rates, and game-breaking bugs have often overshadowed the game's incredible ambition. But Chris Roberts' recent statement about making stability the core focus of 2025 feels like a turning point. A stable game is a playable game, and a playable game is what keeps players coming back. This focus on stability could mean fewer interruptions, smoother gameplay, and a more enjoyable experience for both new and veteran players. The improvements that we've already seen in the
chest hair.
4.0 preview and EPTU suggest that CIG is taking this commitment seriously. While server meshing is still in its early stages, it's already improving server performance and reducing crashes, regardless of the issues that we have currently. The hotfixes released since 4.0's launch have further enhanced playability, setting a strong foundation for the updates to come.
You know right there with using that word enhanced that he is a DG360 member. Wait. And then the fingers. You wanted some Les Grossman? Here you go. Right here, fingers.
Take a big step back and literally fuck your own face.
I just had to because we're talking about Les in the chat right now. I had to do that for fingers.
If this momentum continues, 2025 could be the year that Star Citizen finally delivers a polished experience that matches its ambitious vision. One of my favorite lines ever. With Pyro firmly established in 4.0, the next big milestone on the horizon is Nyx. And after seeing the preview at CitizenCon 2954, it's hard not to be excited about what's coming. Nyx could mark the beginning of base building, a feature that's been teased for a couple of years. The first iteration is expected to allow players to establish small outposts with mining rigs, power systems, and even landing pads. Paired with the introduction of crafting systems, Nyx could fundamentally change how players interact with the game's economy and survival mechanics. This also offers them the opportunity to refine existing systems like master modes, flight mechanics, and quantum travel. These mechanics teased in the past couple of years could reach their full potential with the release of a new system. With its lawless environment and unique challenges, Nyx is poised to become a playground for risk takers and explorers.
I totally agree with you, Hugh. Hugh says, I think crafting and stuff will get here before Nyx does. Completely agree with you, Hugh. And how can you not agree with Hugh? He is, in fact, a gentleman. He's Hugh. Hugh is an upstanding gentleman. He is. You have to agree with him. He's a gentleman. I completely agree with you, Hugh. Completely 100% agree with you.
Represents the next step in Star Citizen's evolution, and if CIG delivers on its promise, Nyx could redefine what's possible in the game. The Star Citizen 4.0 preview has proven to be much more than just another update. It's a glimpse into the future of what this game can be. From Pyro's incredible new locations and loot systems to the promise of stability and the exciting potential of Nyx, we're seeing the project evolve in ways that are finally starting to pay off. That's not to say everything is perfect. There's still work to be done, and plenty of missed opportunities from 2024 that need to be addressed.
Yep.
But if CIG can maintain their focus on stability and deliver on the features teased for Nyx, the next couple of years could be a transformative period for the game. The verse is changing, and it's exciting to think about where we'll be in 2025 and beyond. What are your thoughts on the 4.0 preview and the roadmap ahead? Are you as excited about Nyx as I am, or do you think that Stanton still deserves more love before we expand further?
Stanton's always going to need a little bit more love, but like for the most part, I think the focus will be on the two systems and the interaction with the two systems. Like I talked about in the 10#42 highlight, I think there will be the devs will definitely be focusing on all the data that's happening between players going from Stanton to Pyro and from Pyro to Stanton. I think that's the whole point. I think we're in a really interesting point of the project right now. And if anybody's telling you anything different, you're watching the wrong channel. You're with the wrong people. We like to take a step back. We like to look at the macro of everything. We're not trying to tell you the sky is falling every second here on DG360. We're not getting you with that clickety clack. We're not getting you with that. What are we calling it? The monetization bug. We're not in it for that. Pepe's like the monetization bug. Yeah. That bug that everybody loves, right? No, we don't do that here. We just like relax. We take a step back. We take a big, deep breath. We look at the macro of everything. We tell you how it is here on this channel. And there's a great group of people with all different types of opinions. Some of us disagree with one another, but we're all really respectful here on DG360. And it's a really good crew. Really, really good crew. Love you all. Let's see what's next.